Today we're talking with Jeff Watson of IBM, and we're going to be discussing a survey IBM recently completed of UK corporate and business banking services. So, this survey identified a number of challenges facing this banking group, and the survey focused on a number of basic features that many business and corporate banking internet portals are lacking. I'm wondering if you could give us a bit of a rundown of some of these.
Sure. Yeah, a couple of areas that we saw. For example, one is mobile. Nobody really anticipated the degree of change in the technology or the degree of increase in the user adoption. And so smartphone usage has just really gone through the ceiling. And most of the propositions for business and corporate banking are really lacking in terms of viable smartphone applications and simple, even many cases, basic payment capability or authorization capability in mobile. A second one is around alerts and messaging. There was already really there was a limited amount of SMS alerts and messaging capability, but again, with the advent of smartphones where rich media alerts are now possible, where you can actually embed back-end functions into alerts, there's a substantial sort of gap in what is possible versus what's being done. A third area, I guess, that really became obvious is some of the limited functionality that is available for corporates, but it's not available for small business offering, specifically areas around international payments, again, around dual payment signing capability or overall authorization levels. Corporates had a fairly good amount of services in this area, but in many cases you take a small business owner and they also would like to have the ability to
So is this not available to small businesses because it's too expensive for them, or these types of functions?
One of the problems we saw is that the small business platform has largely been an outgrowth of the retail platform. And so essentially they've taken, in most cases, that retail platform and just augmented it slightly. And so it tends to be somewhat limited. And then the corporate platform tends to be a separate platform, which we felt this is actually problematic in its own right, in that some of the small businesses who might want to upgrade their capability and avail themselves of certain services available to corporates would have to actually change their entire platform and learn a new internet banking system.
Mm-hmm. And I think that sort of segues nicely into our next question. People often think that online banking for the corporates are about 10 years behind mobile and online banking for the retail side, but those two groups have very different needs. So, what are business banking clients looking for that make it different from the needs of the retail banking clients?
Yeah, there's a couple of areas that really come to mind. Again, the payment authorization one is really first and foremost. If I'm a small business owner and I have a part-time account clerk who comes in to do my books, I'm trying to do everything as a small business owner, but I want to delegate that authority to them, but at the same time I don't necessarily want to delegate it in its entirety, so I may not want to allow them, I may want to give them only view-only capability, or may want to limit their payment capability in terms of size. Also, I may want to have a second signature, and very often this sort of multiple authorization levels and dual signatures are not available, say, to the small business owner, and they're not necessary in a retail environment. Another area, you get into the area of collaboration and tools and social media. We think that there's even more opportunities for the business and corporate area to avail of these than in the retail arena. For instance, sharing of information, sharing, if I'm a small business owner, again, I want to share information with other retailers, collaborate with others. If I'm a corporate treasurer and I want to get investment ideas or foreign exchange information, I may want to be involved in a community of collaboration around these areas. So again, it's different from the retail environment.
Yeah, I wanted to go into a bit more detail on those last 2 points. I mean, mobile seems to be making a lot of inroads in the corporate space. So how much of an impact is mobile functionality having in that space?
Well, it's quite fundamental. It's really revolutionizing banking, and I think the view is that many of your transactions and services will be conducted in banking over mobile in the years ahead. Simple reasons for this: some transactions are just so simple they're conducive to filling up those little 2-minute, 5-minute time slots we have available. Sometimes payment authorizations and things, I don't need to sit down at a desk to do these. They can come through and I can handle them again in smaller incremental time frames. If I'm doing cash management and it's a day in, day out issue of cash management, again, I want to have access to that information in a timely fashion wherever I am. So whether you're that busy small business owner who's having to do everything from A to Z to run their company, or whether you're a very busy treasury official who might spend a lot of time in meetings, having the ability to conduct their business on mobile across all channels in a seamless fashion is increasingly critical. And they get that in the retail environment, they get that in their daily use, so they come to expect it.
They want it
also
in the
business and
side.
corporate
Yeah.
environment.
So it sort of leads us into the social media tools, especially for collaboration. I mean, there's been a lot of news about the corporate side using social media, but I mean, how much demand is it for that you're seeing right now?
Yeah, I wouldn't say just yet there is a massive demand, but the opportunity is really there, we think, in a much greater degree in the business and corporate area versus retail. Again, one, if you take a look at the rich amount of data that banks have available, they have data about performance capability across multiple industries, multiple geographic zones. This information could be shared and aggregated even anonymously, or if they want to participate in a more open fashion, that's possible as well. But this is very valuable information that the banks have about good business performance and how your business might stack up against other businesses that could be put out there through the sort of social media and community type tools. If you think about a investor, again, who wants to alter some of their investments into sort of China or India investments, you could be providing them with sort of RSS feeds. You can connect them through chat and communities to experts in these areas. So it can be very powerful from a point of view of reducing some of the channel costs. So instead of calling into the call center, they can have availability through a community or through a live chat scenario. And it can also, so it can be a good cost reduction vehicle as well as being very valuable for the business. And I think even just sharing with their peers, I think there is a propensity to really trust some of your peers as experts in a community scenario versus an expert where you might think they have a vested interest in giving you a certain amount of advice.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.